3 weeks before my wedding, my fiancé humiliated me in front of 500 people. So I married his billionaire enemy. At least that's the short version. The truth is uglier, slower, more complicated. Because I didn't just marry a stranger for revenge. I married a man who had been quietly watching me for years. And I had no idea. 5 years. That's how long I gave Ryan Mitchell. 5 years of believing in potential instead of reality. When we met in college, he was charming in that reckless, ambitious way. He talked about building something revolutionary, a tech platform that would change digital infrastructure forever. I didn't understand half of it, but I understood him. Or at least I thought I did. When his startup failed the first time, I picked up extra tutoring hours. When investors pulled out, I covered rent. When he doubted himself, I told him he was brilliant. I wasn't just his girlfriend. I was his foundation. But foundations are invisible once the building stands tall. 3 weeks before our wedding, I came home early with Thai food and an apology ready. We had argued the night before about guest lists. He said my family was too loud. I said his investors were too cold. It was small, petty, fixable. Except when I opened the apartment door, I heard something that wasn't fixable. Laughter. A woman's laughter. Soft. Familiar. Madison. My best friend since high school. I didn't need to see it. But I did. His hands on her waist. Her fingers in his hair. The intimacy wasn't new. It was practiced. Emily doesn't suspect anything, he said casually. That sentence hurt more than the betrayal. Because it meant I wasn't just cheated on. I was underestimated. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I walked out quietly. And that silence, it scared him more than any breakdown would have. But humiliation has layers. The real damage happened at the gala. Ryan insisted I attend. Optics matter, he said. I should have known then. He needed a clean transition. And I was still useful. The ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and media cameras. I wore the white dress he picked. Irony is cruel like that. When he stepped on stage, I thought maybe he was going to repair the damage publicly. I still wanted to believe that version of him existed. Tonight, he began, smiling at the crowd. I want to thank the woman who truly stood beside me this year. My heart softened. Maybe I had misjudged him. Madison. Applause. Shock. Cameras flashing. She walked onto the stage in red like she'd been rehearsing it. He wrapped his arm around her waist. She's not just my business partner, he continued smoothly. She's my future wife. 500 people witnessed my replacement. Someone near me whispered, "Wasn't he engaged?" Another voice replied, "Guess she wasn't enough." I felt myself shrink under the weight of their curiosity. Ryan glanced at me once and smiled apologetically, as if this was mutual, as if I had agreed to disappear. That's when I walked out. Rain was pouring. The city blurred. And I collided with a man who didn't look surprised to see me broken. Alexander Knight. At that time, he was just a headline to me. Youngest self-made billionaire under 35. CEO of Knight Industries. Aggressive acquisitions. Unemotional. Untouchable. He steadied me with both hands, firm but careful. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "It wasn't your fault," he said. His voice didn't carry pity. It carried certainty. "I saw what happened." "Then you saw enough." "Not enough," he corrected quietly. I remember thinking his eyes were unsettling. Not because they were cold, but because they were observant. He knew something I didn't. "Marry me," he said. Just like that. No build-up. No smile. No joke. I laughed in disbelief. "You're insane." "Probably," he replied calmly. "But I'm also right." "Right about what?" "About you." That should have been my warning. He wasn't looking at me like I was damaged. He was looking at me like I was valuable. And I didn't know how to process that. "I don't need saving," I snapped. "I'm not offering rescue," he said evenly. "I'm offering partnership." "And revenge," I added. "Yes." At least he didn't pretend otherwise. He explained it simply. 3-year contract marriage. Public appearances. No personal pressure. Separate bedrooms. Full freedom. And when it ended, I would walk away financially independent. You deserve better than being erased, he said. And marrying you fixes that? It repositions you. The phrasing was strategic. But his eyes weren't. I should have walked away. But when I saw Ryan's first interview the next morning, painting me as emotionally unstable, hinting that I struggled with pressure, something inside me hardened. He wasn't just leaving me. He was rewriting me. So I called Alexander. I'll marry you. He didn't hesitate. I'll send a jet. That confidence should have scared me. Instead, it steadied me. 3 days later, I signed my name beside his. No romance. No kiss. Just signatures echoing inside a quiet Las Vegas chapel. When reporters swarmed outside, Alexander wrapped an arm around my waist and said 2 words that changed everything. My wife. And suddenly, I wasn't the discarded fiancée anymore. I was Mrs. Knight. But revenge marriages don't come without consequences. And loving a man like Alexander Knight? That was never going to be simple. His penthouse overlooked Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Minimalist decor. Soft lighting. Silence. He gave me the entire West Wing. Privacy matters, he said. He never entered without knocking. He never crossed boundaries. He never demanded anything. Which meant the tension between us grew quietly. Because restraint can be louder than desire. The first time I realized I was in trouble was when I saw him step out of the shower one evening, hair damp, sleeves rolled up. I looked away too quickly. He noticed. He noticed everything. But he never exploited it. That patience began to unravel me. Because I didn't understand why a man with unlimited options was choosing discipline. I didn't know yet that he had already chosen me long ago. And that terrified him more than it terrified me. The first crack didn't come from the media. It came from a woman in gold. Her name was Victoria Hayes. I didn't know that yet. All I knew was that she walked into the gala like she owned every inch of the room. And when her eyes landed on Alexander, they softened in a way that told me history existed there. Alexander, she said smoothly, her voice warm, practiced. He didn't flinch. Victoria. No smile. No warmth. But familiarity. She leaned in slightly, air-kissing his cheek. Her hand lingered on his arm a second too long. I stood beside him, quiet, observant. Wife. The word still felt new in public spaces. And you must be Emily, Victoria said, turning to me with a perfectly curated smile. I've heard so much about you. I doubted that. Only good things, I hope, I replied. Her gaze flickered, measuring. Oh, of course. Alexander's hand shifted subtly to the small of my back. Not possessive. Protective. It was the first time I felt it clearly. She noticed too. Are you staying in London long? She asked him. We'll see, he replied calmly. We. The word settled warmly in my chest. But Victoria's smile didn't waver. Call me, she said softly before walking away. That night, the silence in the car was heavy. You dated her, I said finally. Yes. No hesitation. How long? A year. And it ended. That wasn't enough. Why? His jaw tightened slightly. She wanted partnership on paper, not in life. And I don't. His eyes shifted to me. You don't even realize what you want yet. That irritated me. And you do. Yes. The confidence in that answer unsettled me. Which is? You. The word hung there. Too simple. Too dangerous. I looked away before my heart betrayed me, because I didn't know if he meant it, and I was terrified to ask. The headlines didn't help. Knight reunites with former flame. Photos from the gala circulated. Angles that made it look intimate. Calculated. I tried not to look. But I did. One afternoon while scrolling through my phone, I saw an article suggesting the marriage contract would expire in less than a year. Speculation about potential separation. Speculation about Victoria. Speculation about my irrelevance. That word again. Replaceable. I closed the phone. But the doubt stayed. Alexander began traveling more frequently after that. London became a regular destination. Victoria's firm was heavily involved in European expansion funding. It made sense. Logically. Emotionally. It burned. He called every night. But distance creates silence between words. Everything okay? he asked one evening. Yes. A lie. You sound tired. I am. Another lie. He paused. Emily. What? If something's bothering you, say it. I almost did. Instead, I swallowed it. Because I didn't want to sound insecure. An insecurity in a billionaire's wife looks like weakness. I'm fine, I repeated. He didn't push. That hurt more. Ryan resurfaced at the worst possible time. He appeared outside my school one afternoon. I heard London's been interesting, he said casually. Go away. You always hated long distance. His smirk returned. You really think Knight's faithful across oceans? I stiffened. He's not you. Ryan chuckled. No. He's worse. How? Men like him don't cheat because they're bored. They cheat because they can. I slapped him. The sound echoed. Students stared. He touched his cheek slowly, eyes dark. Still emotional, he muttered. But something in his expression shifted. Not arrogance. Jealousy. He hated that I had upgraded. That word again. Upgrade. Why did it feel like a competition instead of love? The photo that nearly broke me appeared on a Thursday night. Alexander on a rooftop in London. City skyline behind him. Victoria standing close. Her hand on his chest. His face unreadable. I zoomed in like it would give me truth. It didn't. He called an hour later. You've seen it, he said immediately. Yes. It's not what it looks like. What does it look like? I whispered. Silence. It looks like business, he replied carefully. Business doesn't require touching. He exhaled slowly. She initiated that. And you didn't move away. His voice hardened slightly. I didn't think a camera was zoomed in from across the building. The defensiveness cut. I didn't ask for this, I said quietly. For what? For feeling like I'm temporary. The line went quiet. You're not, he said finally. Then why does it feel like I am? No answer. Because he didn't know how to reassure someone when reassurance required vulnerability. And vulnerability was his weakness. The tension grew heavier when he returned from London. He walked into the penthouse and kissed my forehead like always. But something was different. Controlled. Measured. Did you enjoy your trip? I asked. It was productive. Productive. That word felt colder than any accusation. We had dinner in near silence. Finally, I couldn't hold it. Do you still love her? The question hung like a blade. His fork paused midair. No. Did you ever? Yes. Honest. Painfully honest. And what makes me different? I asked. He stood slowly. You're not strategic. What does that mean? She was aligned with my ambition. And I'm not. You are, he said sharply. But you don't calculate love. The room went quiet. And you do. I challenged. His eyes darkened. I used to. The weight of that word crushed the air between us. Used to. I should have felt reassured. Instead, I felt exposed. Because if he used to calculate love, what if I was just the exception? And exceptions don't always last. The real fracture came 2 weeks later. Knight Industries faced a sudden investigation. Regulatory review. Accusations of insider trading. The media frenzy was immediate. And who was leading the inquiry? Funding? Victoria Hayes' firm. The betrayal was sharp. Alexander didn't tell me immediately. I found out from the news. Why didn't you say anything? I demanded when he walked in that night. Because I didn't want you involved. I'm already involved. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration visible. It's complicated. Did she set you up? No. You sound unsure. I'm not. But something flickered in his eyes. And I saw it. Doubt. The powerful, untouchable Alexander Knight was doubting someone he once loved. And that terrified him. You trusted her, I said quietly. Yes. And she's investigating you. Yes. The silence between us felt dangerous. Maybe I was wrong, he murmured. About what? About keeping past and present separate. I didn't like the sound of that. What are you saying? I should have cut ties completely. Did you? Another pause. No. The ground shifted beneath me. You kept her in your world, I whispered. For business. And look where that got you. His eyes flashed. Careful. I'm not your board member, I snapped. You don't get to silence me. The argument escalated fast. Too fast. You think I'm cheating, he said. I think you underestimate emotional history. You're letting your insecurities talk. And you're letting your pride destroy us. The words echoed. Destroy us. That was the first time I said it like we were fragile. He stared at me. I have built everything from nothing, he said quietly. I will not let doubt dismantle it. I'm not it, Alexander. His jaw tightened. I need space, I said suddenly. His eyes flickered. From me. From feeling like I'm fighting ghosts I didn't create. He didn't stop me when I packed a suitcase. That hurt the most. He just stood there. Controlled. But his hands were shaking slightly. I noticed. He didn't know I noticed. I moved back to my old apartment. The one I kept after the marriage, just in case. That just in case now felt prophetic. The media exploded. Trouble in the night marriage? Photos of him alone at events. Victoria still visible in headlines. But something in his expression changed. He looked tired. Not triumphant. Not distracted. Just tired. I missed him. Even while I was angry. That was the cruelest part. And I didn't know yet that the worst was still coming. Because when powerful men are investigated, enemies circle. And I was about to learn that revenge stories never end cleanly. They just evolve. The night Emily walked out of Alexander's penthouse, she didn't cry. Not in the elevator. Not in the taxi. Not even when she unlocked the small apartment she had quietly rented months ago, just in case. She only cried when she saw the closet. Empty on one side. Because she had moved into his world so completely, she forgot how small hers used to be. She sat on the floor and hugged her knees. She hadn't married him for love. But somewhere between midnight tea conversations, between the way he silently placed a blanket over her when she fell asleep on the couch, between the way he memorized how she liked her coffee, she had fallen. And now she felt stupid for it. Alexander didn't chase her. That was the worst part. He stood in the penthouse long after the door shut. He replayed her words. I won't compete with ghosts. He had never told her the full truth. Years ago, before the empire, before the headlines, there had been a woman. Victoria. She wasn't love. She was convenience. But Victoria loved power. And she had always wanted Alexander back once he became untouchable. He should have warned Emily. He should have told her the moment Victoria returned to the city. Instead he chose silence. And silence created doubt. The media exploded 2 days later. Billionaire marriage trouble? Flash wedding ending? Alexander Kingsley seen without ring. He wasn't wearing it because he had taken it off and placed it on his desk. He stared at it every night. He hadn't realized how quiet the penthouse could be. Emily started rebuilding herself. She reopened her small interior design studio. No billionaire funding. No Kingsley name. Just her. The first few weeks were brutal. Clients canceled once they learned she wasn't Mrs. Kingsley anymore. Suppliers delayed orders. But she refused to call him. Pride can be heavy. Then came the jealousy. One evening Emily stepped out of a client meeting and froze. Across the street. Alexander. And Victoria. They were talking. Victoria's hand rested lightly on his arm. Alexander wasn't smiling. But he wasn't pulling away either. Emily's chest burned. So that's it. She turned before he saw her. That night she deleted every photo of them from her phone. Every single one. What she didn't know. Alexander had met Victoria to end it permanently. You will never speak about my wife again, he told her coldly. Ex-wife. Victoria smirked. His jaw tightened. She is my wife. And she always will be. But pride is stubborn. And he didn't go to Emily after. Because she walked away. He believed she had chosen to leave. He didn't know she left because she thought she wasn't chosen. Weeks passed. Silence became routine. Until the hospital call. Emily collapsed at work. Exhaustion. Stress. Low blood pressure. Alexander found out from the news alert before her assistant could even reach him. He was at the hospital in 12 minutes. When he saw her lying there, pale, small, fragile, something inside him snapped. Not anger. Fear. Real fear. He had built empires. But he could not build her heartbeat. She woke up to find him asleep in the chair beside her bed. Tie loosened. Hand wrapped around hers. Like if he let go she'd disappear. Her throat tightened. You didn't have to come. His eyes opened instantly. Yes, he said quietly. I did. Silence. Heavy. Honest. Were you going to let this be it? He asked softly. Just pride. She swallowed. I saw you with her. And you didn't ask. You didn't explain. They stared at each other. Two stubborn hearts. Both hurting. Both afraid to say the first word. I have never loved Victoria, he said finally. Her breath hitched. But I love you in ways that terrify me. The room felt too small. Terrify you, she whispered. You are the only thing in my life I cannot control. And I was afraid if I showed you how much you matter, you'd realize you don't need me. Her eyes filled. I don't need your money, she said. I need you. That broke him. Completely. He stood, walked to her bed, and gently pressed his forehead to hers. I don't want a flash marriage anymore, he murmured. I want forever. Slowly. Properly. With you choosing me every day. She cried then. Not from pain. From relief. The separation had changed them. They returned to the penthouse, but it felt different. Softer. More intentional. He stopped assuming. She stopped doubting. They went on actual dates. No press. No business. He learned how she liked Sunday mornings. She learned that he hated thunderstorms but pretended not to. Jealousy still existed, but now they talked about it. Love stopped being accidental. It became deliberate. Months later, at a charity gala, the same stage where Ryan once humiliated her, Alexander took the microphone. The crowd quieted. I once made the mistake of marrying this woman quickly, he said, pulling Emily gently beside him. Laughter echoed softly. But loving her slowly has been the greatest achievement of my life. Gasps. Cameras. Flashes. He dropped to one knee. Again. This time not for revenge. Not for headlines. Not for pride. For the right reasons, he said. Will you marry me again? Tears streamed down her face. Yes. This time it wasn't a flash decision. It was forever. Ryan watched from the back of the room. Forgotten. Irrelevant. Small. Revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's just living well. Years later, when reporters asked how their love story began, Emily would smile. It started with anger, she'd say, and grew into something worth fighting for. And Alexander? He would look at her like she was the only thing in the room, because she was. If you loved this slow-burn billionaire romance, don't forget to like, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe for more dramatic love stories every week.